Okay, now I'm going to go through the final draft stage of the Shoah essay. I'm going to try to get all the way through. I'm almost certainly not going to get it all done, but I'm going to get it in really good shape so I can just kind of wrap it up, later on. And I'll show it to you before you guys hand it in. I'll go over the format issues. But I want to show you how to put it together from where we left off. And what I'm going to do is put it together in Google Docs, okay? And I know a lot of you guys use Google Docs, so I decided to do it that way rather than Microsoft Word or Apple Pages. So let me show you where we left off last time, okay? And it wasn't perfect. It was in the middle draft stage, but this is what we did. We were really focusing on getting the body paragraphs together, okay? And there it is. I set the context of the first paragraph. I have the quotation, and again, I was focusing on Rudolf Verba, who was at Auschwitz. And then I had his first quotation on page 34, and I used all of the quotations, all the page numbers from the book, okay? So I just typed it up straight. And that's the first one. And here's the next one. That's the description of that quotation. But remember, each time with this, I thought I could bump it up and make it a little bit better. It wasn't perfect, but it was better than the first draft. And this was the analysis. The second paragraph with the quotation and the description and the analysis. The third paragraph with the setting up the context. And this paragraph troubled me by how short the quotation was. But I remember I found that really odd thing that they're beating the Jews with sticks, clubs, and cursing. And I thought that was really odd that the guards have guns, but they're not showing any of the Jews that they're about to murder. They're not showing them the guns. And then I started to realize all of the worker Jews know they have guns. None of the Jews getting off the train know they have guns or are readily aware of it. And so I figured out that they really want to move them along, but they don't want to frighten or have anybody thinking that they were going to get murdered. So I talked about that. So that one worked out. So I want to warn you, be very careful if your quotations are this short. If you think they're really good, like I did think this one was a really good quotation. And so I stuck with it. I just said, I'm going to risk it. That was good. But I found something really good. So always be careful. These are rules of thumb, not written in stone. And I generally followed them. Now, this quotation was very important because this is where the Germans were mocking the Jews about to be murdered. Will you walk out, please? And things like that. And really, oh, yes, how nice you arrived. We are sorry. And all of this is just a part of the mentality of dehumanizing the Jews so that you are mocking these Jews right before they're being murdered. And so that's what I found going on there. And then the last thing I wrote, and this is where we left off, I wrote an introduction. And what I did, and this is very important, it seems kind of mechanical, but it does basically work pretty well. Write about 2 sentences per body paragraph. So, and for 2 sentences, one of them should kind of give an idea of what scene you're going to deal with, and the other sentence should give an idea of what you're going to say about it. Why do you think it's important? Basically, put your description into a sentence and then put your analysis into a sentence. And that will give you essentially 8 sentences for your introduction. That means you're going to have a fairly well-developed introduction, and that's what I did. This is 2 sentences. There's one, and then there's the next one. And then there's 2 sentences on that second paragraph, and then the next one. And then there's 2 here, and then 2 here. And that's what I did. Okay? And then I was working on the thesis. Last I left off was I was working on the thesis. And it was pretty dang rough. Verba's description of the Tain arrived at Auschwitz shows how the Jews knew nothing of their pending deaths, but the German guards ensured they remained ignorant by instilling fear in the workers and using the Jews as a source of mockery. Okay, and I thought that was rough. That was okay. That brought all the body paragraphs together, all the analyses I had. And then, right before I turned on the camera, I did this. I rewrote it. It's better. It's not a great thesis. It's still kind of rough. I got this. The Jews in Verba's account, and let me do the possessive, right? Verba's account knew nothing of their pending deaths at their arrival in Auschwitz, which was accomplished by instilling an extreme fear in the worker Jews, such as Verba, while alleviating fears in those being murdered, even at the extreme of mocking the Jews about to be murdered. And this is awkward. It's rough. And I'm going to make it better. But understand, this is the first version of the thesis right here. And this one I do think is better, but it's not there yet. It's not there yet. But what I've got now is a rough draft of my introduction, and I've got 4 body paragraphs. Let's now start to move it over and start putting an essay together, okay? So I'm going to start to do that. Now, this is going to be tedious. I need to warn you, it's tedious doing this. Watching the video, it's going to put you to sleep. But it's important to go through these steps. These little steps make everything else manageable, okay? So let's go back to Google Docs, and let me do all that, all the stuff I need to do, which is number 1, I need to insert my name and page number. And let's do that. Insert. And where is it on here? Page numbers. And I'm going to do the upper right corner. Okay. And so let me show you that again. I go to insert, and it works pretty much the same in Word and in Apple's Pages. Okay. I want to insert page number. The logic is the same. It might look a little bit different. Your pop-up menus, pull down, whatever, dialog boxes might be slightly different. But look what it gave me. It gave me this. Page number 1. And I can put my name. I'll call myself Bubsy. Okay. And there it is. Now Bubsy 1. And, well, as I get more pages, I'll have Bubsy 2. But let's put that in. Let's call myself Boingo Bubsy. That'll be my name. Don't laugh. Okay. And my teacher is that Pendleton guy. He's really, God, he's mean. And this is for English 101. And let's put the date it's going to be handed in. I think that's April. Oh, no, let's do 21. April 2020. Now I can already see this is not quite in the right typeface, and it's not double spaced. So why don't I double space the whole darn thing? Let's double space it. And then we'll go to the font. I don't want Arial. I want Times New Roman. And I don't want 11. I want 12. And just by setting up that name that way, I've got everything done. I've got to put this on a separate line. There we go. Now let's put a title. Okay, keeping everything quiet. That's the title, and I'm going to center it. There it is. And then I hit return. And if you get to this and notice that it shows my cursor in the middle, I need it on the left-hand side. So I'm going to do this little deal. I need it left justified. That's it. Okay. Now I've got it. Now I've got all of the outside stuff ready for the format. It's all good to go. I'm going to have to do the works cited and everything with that. That's coming up. Let's start moving the text over. Okay, let's start with the introduction and thesis. Okay, so we go all the way to the end. And here's my thesis, but let's take my introduction first. And you just copy it. That's all of my introduction. I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to paste it over here. What I did was I hit Control-C and then Control-V, and that copies it. That's my introduction. Now let's make it look like an introduction. I need to have it all one paragraph. Notice it's starting to look like an introduction. And I took my introduction, but I did not take my thesis. let me get my last thesis, this one here. And this one is better than the first version, but it's still not great. I hit Control C, or yeah, on mine it's Command C, but for most of you it'll be Control C. And then I'm going to put the thesis as the last sentence of the introduction. Last sentence of the introduction, that's my thesis. And there you go. That little nitpicky step-by-step method of doing an introduction has resulted in this. This is now a well-developed introduction. And generally my rule of thumb is it should be more than a page, more than half a page, but less than a page. So about 3/4 of a page, rule of thumb. It's not always going to be that long, but then you know you got it. And that's what I've got here. And so I've got the introduction, and I've got Auschwitz misspelled, and I'm going to have a lot of other errors. So I'll catch all those when I go over this and I clean it all up. But notice it's getting there. It's already starting to look good. Now let's start moving the body paragraphs over. I'm now in position to move the first body paragraph over. And here I'm back to my draft, and I've moved my introduction over. And let's start moving the first body paragraph over. Copy, Control C, and there it is. And let's move the quotation over. And that's all I'm going to do, is I'm just going to move piece by piece over. It's not following what I'm telling it to do, but we'll make it go. That's the quotation. And notice this quotation is 1, 2, 3 3¾ lines. It's not quite 4 lines. So it must be integrated. It must be. So I can't block quote this one. So let me integrate this one. Put the quotation marks there, and I'll put the quotation marks here. And the page number goes like that. Those little things, they do add up. I'm not going to worry about the period and all that, but you keep the period after the parentheses and integrated quotations. And then I move my description over. And again, I know this is boring, but boy, it isn't that tough. And again, I need to point out this quotation is integrated. It looks like it's 4 lines, but it's really 3½ or so. It's not long enough to be a block quotation. And now let me move my analysis over. And that's starting to look like an essay. There's the introduction, and then there's the first body paragraph, and that's it. I did it. Now let's go to the second body paragraph. And I'm going to hold the video right now and freeze it for a little bit, and I'll be back in a moment to finish this up. But all I'm going to do while I'm gone is move the rest of the essay over. Okay? All right, let me hold it there. Okay. What I've done is I've gone through and I've copied and pasted the whole essay. While I was gone for a moment, I was just copying and pasting like crazy. And I got this. Now I want to show you, that's a big mess. But notice all those, it's now 4 pages. And that's kind of what, Pendleton was talking about. And I'm almost there. I haven't written a conclusion yet, but I'll get on that. But I want to show you the formatting of the body paragraphs. And let me go through that with you piece by piece. And all I've got is, I have not changed any words from the middle draft. I've just copied and pasted over. And this is where I'm going to mention this a little bit. What the draft process does, and what I've tried to do with these sheets, is walk you through one little bit at a time. Remember what I've told you is that your working memory capacity can only handle so many things at once. And writing an essay puts an enormous demand on your cognitive capacities with generating ideas, understanding what's going on in the evidence, formatting it, developing it, giving details, fleshing it out, arranging it. All of these things place a demand on your thinking capacity. That's your working memory capacity. Why this works is because it breaks things down into little pieces that your memory can handle. And what I talked about before is kind of like, getting a pumpkin into a garbage disposal. You can't really do it Well, yeah, you can if you slice it up into pieces. And that's what this is. This writing process is really just a matter of slicing that pumpkin. The pumpkin is your essay. Slicing it up into smaller pieces. You can get your pumpkin into the garbage disposal without breaking the thing if you slice it into small enough pieces. What you can't do is put the pumpkin in one, you don't do that, okay? Slice it into small pieces. You can get a hippopotamus into a garbage disposal if you slice them up into small enough pieces. Don't do that. But you could if you did, if you slice it into small pieces. What the writing process has done is chop this up, this huge task of writing an essay on the Holocaust, into smaller pieces, into finding evidence. This is what we did in the early draft stage, as you might remember. And let me take a look at the early draft stage, and you might remember this. We started by finding quotations. That's what we were doing. Then we described them. Then we came up with our initial ideas. Then we did another quotation, and we described it. We did our initial ideas. We just did first the evidence and just broke it down. And then in the middle draft stage, what we did was we fleshed it out. We developed each and everything more so that we had better ideas. And then we really had the heart and soul of an essay. It didn't look like it. And now we've moved it over to this. And I'm going to make it look, and I'm going to dress it up like an essay. Now I'm going to make it look good. Okay? So we've got our introduction, and it's put together. We've got our first body paragraph, and it's put together. This is our second one. This is the context. Here's the quotation right here. Is that quotation long enough to block quote? No, it's pretty much just 3 lines. It's not there, so it's going to have to be integrated. And when you have an integrated quotation, you put the period on the outside of the page number. And a big thing is, notice it's just number 35. That's just the page number. It doesn't say page 35. It doesn't say PG 35. Remember, a big thing about me is no piggies. No piggies. No PGs anywhere. Just put the page number. That's all you need. And this was the description. And this is the analysis right here. So I need to make that into my second body paragraph. There we go. I've got my description and my analysis. Now this is my third body paragraph right here. And this sets the context. And look at this. This one is just over 2 lines. That is not block quoted. So let's integrate it. And I know what you're thinking. Block quotes look cool. They do. Block quotes are so cool. If you really know that block quotes are cool, you need to get out more often, okay? But I feel you if you think they're cool. But anyway, this one's not a block quotation. It's not there. So that's a quotation. It's integrated this way. Hopefully, I think my last quotation will be block quoted. So if you really want a block quotation, just hold on. It's going to get exciting. And here's my description. And here's my analysis right here. And notice little things like I called him Rudolf Verba the first time. Every time after that, he's just Verba. Okay? That's all he is. And there are lots of boo-boos in here. There are lots of boo-boos. I've got to go through and catch them all. Okay? But that's my third body paragraph. Here's my fourth. Okay? Here's the context. It sets the context. Now I think this one is a block quotation. Yeah, this one is, because to integrate that one, it would be a mess. Now let's see. This all has to be bumped in. Let's see where that is. It doesn't show me the little thing I'm looking for. Let's see. Here it is. I just hit the little kebabby thing up here and then look for that. Bang. Okay, the whole thing is bumped in 1 tab. Everything is 1 tab in, okay? And this, again, you guys were waiting on a block quotation. Here it is. It's very exciting. And this is my writing right down here. Down here is my writing. That's what I do. So it looks like this. This starts off this sets the context of the quotation. This is the quotation from verba. Okay. I could do this. You don't really need to do this. I think it goes verba lawnsman, but I'm not sure. But there you go. Now it's very clear, and their names probably should be italicized. And I'll italicize them because I think they are in the original text. And I'll double check these. I think it goes by last name, but I'm not sure. I'll check these in the book and make sure when I'm doing the formatting. But this is my description right here, and this is my analysis right here. And I need to have that part of the same paragraph. So notice, and I'm not done writing. I've got to finish this final draft stage. But now I've got it all set up. I've got the page number, and I've got an introduction. I've got the first body paragraph right here. And again, it's all formatted. Second body paragraph now is all formatted. Third is all formatted. And the fourth one, even with a block quotation, it's all formatted. Make sure your writing starts at the margin, not indented. I know that's a small thing, but you want to take care of those things. You don't have to concentrate on the little things, take care of the big things, get that content, but take care of the little things, okay? Make life easier on me and everybody else. And we take care of all those little things in the final draft stage. That's my fourth body paragraph. Now what I need to do is rewrite essentially my introduction, but I need to do it upside down. So let's get my thesis statement, and we're going to start it off with my thesis. So I need a conclusion. So I'm going to my middle draft, and I've got my thesis statement right here, and I'm going to be rewriting this, okay? But I'm going to start my conclusion off with my thesis statement. That's what's going to be here, okay? And then what I'm going to have, and so I still need to finish my conclusion, but I've got my thesis first, and I need to rewrite my thesis. I need to do that. But why don't I go ahead and do my works cited, and I'll come back to all that reworking. So let's do this. Lawnsman Claude, he's the author of Shoah. Okay. The complete text of the acclaimed Holocaust film. So, and since he made the movie, and this is by Da Capo Press. Now, some of the rules have changed on formatting on MLA. They just came out with the 8th edition, and you don't have to put the city on this anymore. But you do need the year, and I believe this was published in 1985. Oh no, this one is 1995 that it was published, and there's the year, 1995. And print. They do want you to list that. Now, one of the things you'll notice, and let me show you all the bits and pieces. I want to hit Control Enter. Well, I need this on a new page. And for most of you, that's Control Enter. I don't know on this one yet. You can do Insert Page Break, and do a page break, because you should have the works cited on a separate page. You should have the works cited on a separate page. But center the works cited, center the title of it, and let's see, and let me center it right there. And that's the only other thing besides your title to the essay that's centered, okay? The block quotations are not centered. They're just bumped in a margin. Now, the troublesome thing is most of you guys know the second line has to be bumped in. But how do you do that? Okay, because if you enter it, what the heck just happened? That's a mess. So go there and notice where my cursor is right now. It's in front of the second line. Hit enter. What that does is it puts in an enter without making an apparent return. It doesn't show. but it put one in there. And then hit tab. That's how you do it. Let me do that one more time. Now, there is now, that's just like it would have been typed, as you should have it, and it's typed in. I'm going to hit enter right now. You're not going to see anything happen, but I'm going to hit enter. Watch my finger go, bing. It just hit enter. It hit the return button. You have to do that first. Then I hit the tab. Therefore, I've got it formatted correctly, okay? And put the title in italics. That's how you do a works cited listing for your essay, okay? Right now, where I am, you can see I pretty much got an essay, and he's got to be happy about this. That Pendleton, I know he's tough, but I think he's going to be okay with this. What I have to do, and what I won't do right now in front of you, is I need to go through this from the beginning to the end, and I need to read it carefully and closely as I go through things. I need to make all those little adjustments in the language to make sure it's clear, to make sure the sentences are clear. Now, one of the sentences that is not clear at this point is that thesis statement. And it's right here, and it's at the conclusion. It's the concluding sentence right here. I'm going to have to repair both of those sentences, and I've got to make them really good. Okay, I've got to make them good. And I've got to rewrite them until they sound right to me. Until they really, boy, that works better. And I'm going to do this throughout the essay. And I'll show you right here with this sentence. The Jews in Verba's account knew nothing of their pending deaths at their arrival in Auschwitz, which was accomplished by instilling an extreme fear, which was accomplished by the Germans by instilling an extreme fear in the worker Jews, in the Jewish workers. And again, I'm only going off of what I like better. Including verba, while alleviating fear in those in those being murdered, even at the extreme. Even by mocking the Jews about to be murdered. That's a little bit better, I think. The Jews in Verba's account knew nothing of their pending deaths at their arrival in Auschwitz, which was accomplished by the Germans, who instilled extreme fear. Fear in the Jewish workers, who instilled fear in the Jewish workers, including Verba, while alleviating fear in those being murdered, even by mocking. With their pretended courtesy, by mocking the Jews about to be murdered with pretended courtesy. I like this better. That's what you want to do. Make all those little adjustments until the sentences sound better throughout. If you've got the whole structure put together, you can take some time and read it through, read the sentences, and what you'll do is catch all those rough places. And this is, for example, however needs a comma on both sides. You can catch all those little boo-boos and make all the sentences ring good and ring true. And what you can also do is submit the essay, and I really want to encourage you guys to do this. You can submit your essay to the Writing Center. The Writing Center has an ability to take essays in online. Go to the Writing Center, go to the VVC Writing Center online, go to the Writing Center at VVC online, and you can submit the essay to them, and they'll take a look at it and get it back to you within a reasonable amount of time, usually with some overall suggestions on some things, but you can submit it to them and have them take a look at it, okay? So that's where I'll stop. And again, I know this is a tedious stage to go through, But if you can take the time and do it, you can get a good essay in. Again, piece by piece, little piece by little piece of that pumpkin, chopping it down, you can get this whole thing through the garbage disposal, and it will all work out well. All right, take care, you guys.